PR Connections Radio presents this episode of the PR Connections podcast is brought to you by Classy Communications PR and Advertising. Classy Communications provides public relations and marketing solutions for businesses, professionals, and nonprofit organizations. They can deliver the true meaning of your business with press releases, social media marketing, web development, email marketing, book publishing, and much more. Wherever your potential clients are, they can help you connect with them. Visit classycommunications.net to learn more about their suite of services that can help your business stand out from the rest. Classy Communications is your solution for business success.
However, my good friend Brian Gardner is going to be coming on to give it present We Have the Power, one of the original podcasts on our network. Brian, how are you?
Hey, doing good.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure. Nowadays, it seems like we connect primarily through these marathons.
Yeah, that's the time when we get a chance to talk. Yeah.
Yeah, so We Have the Power. Are you in season 5 maybe at this point?
Let me correct you, please.
Let
me use my best New York accent. Hey, it's season 6. Could you get over it, please? Okay, I'm starting season 6.
Yeah, so again, as I mentioned before, Brian is one of the first, I believe, 5 podcasts that we had on this network. Right. And it's just, wow, time flies when you're having fun, right, Brian?
I can't believe it's 6 years.
And again, we appreciate your commitment to providing this content, Brian. I mean, the world changes a lot in 6 years. I mean, you've covered a lot of topics that were relevant at that time, and now we have all these new things that you're covering. Yeah, and it evolves and evolves, but your principles have been pretty solid, and I think that's why people enjoy your podcast so much.
Yeah, the whole purpose is to educate, motivate, activate, bring people up to the need for change and the demand for improvement so we see a bettering society. It's really, I believe that Democrats and Republicans can join me in a lot of things I talk about, where we want to be able to go get eggs and milk at 11 o'clock at night and not be harassed by somebody. We want to make sure our kids are getting educated properly so they can't be manipulated real easily by vested interests. These are things we can all agree to.
Right. From the very beginning, Brian, when we were, developing this show together, the perspectives that you shared about the commonalities, that always was really interesting to me because politically, obviously we're in a very divided climate in this country, but your emphasis on stressing the commonalities, we're always going to differ on things. Human beings will always have differences of opinion. And again, James touched on that right before in his podcast. That's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing that we have differences, but that doesn't mean that we can't work together to have a better world, right? Just because you don't agree with each other, what kind of world would this be if everyone agreed with everything that I said? It wouldn't be.
All right. Good morning, Guy. I think you are a good person. So am I. Goodbye.
Right. Yeah. It's going to be Guy's way, right? No, it's not. It's not. I'm going to move myself off the stage so that it'll be Brian Gardner's way with We Have the Power. I'll see you soon, Brian.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, welcome to this special edition of We Have the Power as we do this marathon. I want to say first, thanks to the staff and to Guy for not only starting prconnectionsradio.com, but also having this marathon each year. And I look at that as a chance to tell you, the viewer, who are watching We Have the Power, to let you know what's coming in the next year. And the purpose has been, I have it right on my wall, educate, motivate, activate, need for change. We get people up to the point where they go, yes, we need to change things. And we're starting demand of our public servants, I like to call them, even though they're elected, they are public servants, that we want to see improvement. So this has been the purpose of We Have the Power since its inception. But I'm going to roll up the sleeves now and get down to it, because in this next year, with so many things going to possibly change, with the midterm elections coming up, we really need to realize absolutely how fragile the form of government we have is. You know, I want to say before I move forward that of all the, you know, when you see the Olympics, they say, oh, there's 149 countries or whatever it is. It's very interesting to me that we are the only country that wrote down documents stating specifically that we're not granting you these rights. These rights are yours because you are a living, sentient individual, sentient being. And that's why I believe that anywhere in this world, I don't care who the leader is, he cannot say, this is the religion we're going to have, and this is what you can say and what you can't say. He is in violation of people's rights at that moment if they have that viewpoint about saying, okay, I'm setting up this country, I'm going to determine the religion that gets practiced, I'm going to determine the, you know, what you can say and what you can't. And that is the case in China and places like that. They are in violation of people's inalienable rights, because you have those rights not because governments give them to you, it's because you have them, and you must remember that, and how special this country is, and yet how fragile it is, because we get a bad leader and he brings in the military and decides to take over, we could lose those rights in an instant. That's why my show and other people that talk about this are important, not because we have big egos, it's because we know how important it is to maintain these rights. So in 2026, I'm going to try to have more guests on. Going to have guests from Applied Scholastics International, which our previous guests might be interested in accessing. They have a worldwide, very, very effective educational technology that they use. It's being used the world over. Students are understanding the materials better, remaining interested, and playing an important role, again, in making sure our young people are educated so that they are not easy to be manipulated by, you know, vested interests. So I'm going to have a guest from Applied Scholastics International on. Citizens Commission on Human Rights has been around since 1969. I've had 2 of their guests on already in previous years, and I want to have them back again. They are a patient rights advocacy group, and I notice kind of a current happening about, people's mental health. You know, there's a big discussion about healthcare anyway, and they're saying people need more mental health care and all that. I'm telling you right now, if that means putting people in the hands of psychiatry, that is going to be bad for the country, the people who get put into those hands, and I'm going to do my best to have CCHR talk about the frailty, falsehoods, and hoaxes represented by modern psychiatry and how dangerous they really are. Specifically, I'm not saying every psychiatrist, but for the most part, they are extremely dangerous because they don't know how to fix people's mental problems. All they can do is fill a person full of drugs, and the guy goes, do you remember what was causing you to be depressed? No, I can hardly remember anything. You know, if you go to your mechanic and you say, my car is unmanageable, it's making noise, you know, can you put Gunko in the engine and just quiet it down? I need to drive every day to work. And the mechanic says, okay, I can put Gunko in your car, but when you tear it apart in 10,000 miles, you're not going to like what you see. I don't care. I need it to be more manageable. Well, unfortunately, a lot of families do that to their own family members. I need Uncle Harry to be more manageable. So they put him on these drugs, which have terrible side effects, destroys his mental ability, all because psychiatry doesn't know what causes mental problems. And I will be covering a book that you can get at the library. And you read this book, you make sure you look up words you don't understand while you're reading it. You will know more than a degreed psychiatrist, very radical thing to say, but it's true. And you will have in your hands a handbook, which you could then work with a family member and do counseling back and forth, and in a shorter amount of time, get incredible gains in bettering their mental health. That will be covered in 2026 on We Have the Power. We're going to have also Truth About Drugs representative. I run an infomercial every time I do my show, and they have a wonderful series of books. The reason these books are so important is they don't say, don't use those drugs, like some adult that a kid is not going to listen to. What they do is they say, this is what will happen if you abuse alcohol, use marijuana, use LSD and all this. It tells you what will happen. Now, kids are very smart. You mean my mind is going to just, my brain is going to dry up and I won't be able to remember all these different things. And the young people say, good, I don't want to use that. And that saves us from destroying our future generations because the drug dealers wanted to make profit. Now, the other thing people need to realize is people are smoking pot when they're driving. That's going to add more distractions when they're already using their phone, putting on makeup, doing whatever while they're driving when they shouldn't be. And also, we are going to see in probably 5 to 10 years, people, and they're seeing it already, but people starting to develop the same kind of illness in their lungs from smoking pot as they do from smoking cigarettes, because the smoke is bad for the lungs. It destroys your ability to breathe air and live. And we're going to start seeing that. So we're going to do a whole thing on how marijuana is not so, benign as people are making it out to be. There's another organization that I have not had on the show before, and I want to get them on. They're called Criminon. And they are an organization that Willie Benitez started after he read a book by L. Ron Hubbard. And Criminon is non-religious, but it's based on some of the research that Hubbard did, and they have been very successful in rehabilitating criminals who were written off. So I want to have some people from Criminon coming on. We're also going to be talking about politics because we do have the midterms coming up. We do have a president who's making major changes, I believe, helping the country to do better. And we'll be talking about that. Covered education, healthcare. Now, the environment is something else. Luckily, President Trump has not bought the hoax that human activity is causing the planet to warm, which is a complete whitewash lie. I started an organization called Advanced Technology Research to do two things: to bring out facts that show that the claims that have been made thus far on our environment are false and put forth by vested interests. Number two, to talk about fusion power. And I have a tagline that is perfect. Pardon me for saying so. It is the power source of tomorrow that we need today, because hydrogen is the number one element in this universe, this world, this planet, and that is what fusion runs on. And we need to get fusion developed as quickly as we can. Of course, the oil companies will try to say it's dangerous or bad or causes spots on your liver. Who knows what they're going to say? Because it would radicalize our power sources and kind of make oil and gas something not so in demand. But with fusion power, you see, a small African country could get a workable fusion reactor, set it up on their coastline, draw water in, have plenty of power, tell the banks, see you later, tell the oil companies, see you later, become independent from all vested interests. And boy, does that shake up the Rockefeller family, because they want to control the world. That's why fusion they've been going this fast with fusion, where they could have been going this fast. So I'm going to push that because we need that. And these countries have a right to be independent, and they have a right to use the water of the ocean and get free of the banks and get free of the oil companies, irrigate their crops, grow people, allow their people to grow and have food and live. It is only the evil people in this world that want to limit the population. They've talked openly that it would be better if the population in the world was 300 million. Do you understand? Do you understand that statement? There are 7 billion people in this world today. That would make Hitler, and I do not dismiss any of the horrible things he did, that would make Hitler look like an amateur. These people that want to bring the population down to that level are the most evil individuals ever in human history. And they need to be exposed and stopped. And fusion power needs to be brought on so they can not work out their psychotic, insane plans upon all of us. We're also going to be talking about personal freedom. Right now, it's horrible what they've done to our young people in colleges. Do you know they've done surveys and they've asked young people, if a speaker is going to talk and his talk might upset people, do you think he should be barred from talking? I think 30% said yes, he can't talk if he's going to upset people. That shows that people in college have been indoctrinated to the point where they no longer value our First Amendment rights of free speech. That is a horrible situation. And guess why Charlie Kirk was assassinated? Because he was only in his 30s and he was turning people away from the failed policies of the Democrats. And I'm talking not every policy, I'm talking the failed policies of the Democrats. He was turning young people at college away from that. If they would have let him continue till he was 60, that's 30 years. There would be nobody left to vote for failed Democratic policies anymore. So they had to get rid of him. What a horrible idea that they think they can just shoot whoever they want, who gets in their way. What a despicable, psychotic, insane bunch of people these are. They tried to kill Trump already. You know, they tried to kill him the day before the Republican convention. Can you imagine the wrench that would have thrown into the Republican convention? Luckily, he wasn't killed. But they tried because they think they have that right. Also going to cover the future of this country, our freedoms. You know, like this idea of getting everybody in an electric car. I'm sorry, I'm not in favor of. First of all, it's based on a hoax. We actually need more CO2 in the air with the coming ice age in the next couple of generations. But if everybody is on electric cars, then the government can say, oh, by the way, we can't really charge all the cars. It's not working. Our grid can't handle it. So let me look at my notes here. Only A through M can drive their cars this week. Sorry. You have to stay home. We're in complete control of your movement because everybody's on an electric car and the grid won't handle it. So we can dictate who drives. No. That's why I will never own an electric car. It gives potentially the government, these evil, psychotic, insane people, too much power over everything, which is what they want. Imagine them saying, you can't drive your car because the grid won't handle it. You know, well, I need eggs and milk and bread for my kids. Well, you're going to have to walk and, you know, and it's too far to walk to the grocery store. So, and it's winter and you're going to freeze to death while you come home with your eggs and bacon and whatever. No, we do not allow them to have that much power over us. Now, also, I'm a performing musician. We're going to be continuing our series of talking about what it's like to be the head of the band. What do you need to do as a performer? Do you go up in front of your audience and say, I'm a Democrat, I'm a Republican, I hate this, I believe that, I do that, whatever, and you turn 50% of your audience off and they leave? And then the person who hired you goes, you're driving my customers out of my place because you're talking politics and religion as a musician? No. Come on, musicians. When you're interviewed on a radio program, that's one thing. When you are performing in front of the audience, no, I'm sorry, you don't get to talk politics unless you want to shoot yourself in the head and never get hired by that venue again and have 50% of the people upset. People come out of their home for entertainment to be entertained. not to be preached to. Okay? The Dixie Chicks learned a hard lesson. They started criticizing, I think it was President Bush, they were criticizing heavily. Suddenly, here's the Dixie Chicks. They started criticizing the sitting president, and this is what happened to them. They were gone. Who knows where the Dixie Chicks are now? I think they're on, Mercury or something, or Jupiter somewhere. They're not on Earth, apparently, because we can't find them. So we're going to be talking about what it takes to be a performing musician. Do it right. If you're the head of the band, you have other duties. You have to work with 5 or 6 people and their different problems and their different viewpoints. How do you do that? And it's important that musicians know how to do that because we need more music in society. We're very polarized right now, and music can soften that. Doesn't mean we give up on our viewpoints, but it does mean that we can enjoy life because our musicians are not being political, sounding boards when we've come out to just hear music. If you're interviewed on a radio program, great, talk about it. If you want to go and support a particular candidate and you don't care what people think, that's fine too. But when you're performing, I would tell you right now, it's not a good idea to talk politics and religion. You don't know who's in your audience. Now, I guess if you play at a Republican or a Democratic event, then you could do that. But there's a danger there too. If you play at a Republican or Democratic event, are all your members of your band Republicans or Democrats? Maybe you're going to start upsetting members of your band. If you're all Democrats or Republicans, well, then what if people find out that you support Democratic or Republican candidates and they don't want to hire you for your place? That's a decision you have to make, but there is a liability to that. The top country western musician, female in this country right now, was asked on a radio program, well, what are your politics? Who do you support? She goes, I don't talk about it because I play to multitudes of audiences and I want them all to enjoy my music. So I don't talk about it. I keep that as something I feel should be kept private. Very smart gal. She's at the top of the heap. I forget her name, but country western person. And I'm sure you can Google her and find out who she is. And she keeps very neutral, but she's doing great in music because everybody loves her because she doesn't cause people to polarize in her audiences. They enjoy her music, and that's where it stops. So we'll be talking about that as well. We'll also be talking about situations that are beyond our own planet. Have people come here from other worlds? Do they have the technology to get the light years distance covered in a reasonable amount of time? And why are they coming here? Are they going to share technology with us that will assist us? Or will it be like Star Trek, where they leave us alone until we've risen to a certain level? And that's just something to look at. Also, given that Trump started the Space Force, there is some, interest. There is some awareness that we're not just the only planet in endless space. We have our telescopes have been finding habitable worlds in that sweet spot, close, not too close to the sun, not too far away. And I think, in the next 50 years, we're going to start having some communication with some of these worlds, even though it might take a while for the communication to get there. And so that's just something, as we broaden our viewpoint from just our little planet to who else do we interact with in this universe that we occupy. So these are the things I'm going to be covering, and you certainly can always suggest ideas or ask questions of me by contacting prconnectionsradio.com or bgardner2323 at yahoo.com. And I'm counting on you to use something that has dropped out of use in society. Let's get it back in there. Manners. When I give you my email, I don't expect to have stuff that's objectionable sent to me. I don't want to hear about the latest vacuum. I'm giving you that email so that you can suggest items to me or ask questions So use it properly. Let's start respecting each other by putting manners back in. I have one final thing to say. If I put you in a room and I cause you to do this for 24 hours without any hand cream, your hands will probably be pretty dry and rough and stuff. Now, if I gave you hand cream, and then you did this, you could probably do it for 24 hours if you had as much hand cream as you wanted. And that's what manners are. They are the lubricant in human relations. If you don't use manners, it's kind of like this, right? Yeah, get out of my way, I'm first in line, or whatever crappy thing gets said. But if you use manners, it's like this. While you're driving, while you're interacting with another human, with your family member, with friends, with business associates, if manners got popular again, things would be way better and easier to do and to live and to accomplish in this world. So there we go. That's pretty much what we're going to be covering. I think Guy's going to join me in a minute here as a wrap up, because we want to keep these to 30 minutes because we have a lot of guests, a lot of hosts that are doing shows. So I wanted to make sure I ended a little early, but you know, it's I think right to state again, educate, motivate, activate, bring you up for a realization of a need for change, and then a demand for improvement. And that's how we're going to get results. That's really the only purpose of this show. It's not to make money, get advertisers, and get a Ferrari and all that stuff. Nothing wrong with any of that, of course, but that's not the purpose of my podcast. The purpose is to make sure we never lose our freedoms, because once they're gone, I'm telling you, they're hard to get back. Because obviously the person's in power who got rid of them is not going to go, oh, you want your freedoms back? Oh, come on. They're not going to do that. So once we lose them, we could be in dangerous times. So let's not lose them. Let's spend some of our time making sure that we are taking actions, because we're all responsible for the condition of this country and this world. Sorry. Go to Mars if you don't agree. But while you're here, anybody who's here, whatever age they are, whatever condition they're in, as much as they can do, they are responsible for the condition that all of us are in and this world is in. And doing small things is okay. Doing bigger things is better. But we all need to contribute something. And that's the purpose of we have the power, to make sure those freedoms never go away. They are important. They are ours. We have them not because governments grant them, because they are our freedoms as a living, breathing, intelligent being. Okay? All right. So I'm pretty much wrapped up for today, and I'm asking Guy to join me again. There he is.
All right. Well, as usual, Brian, we appreciate your insight and wisdom, and really looking forward to some of these themes in your 6th season that you are going to be addressing. Again, the feedback that we get about your show, right? It's just very, always really interesting, the perspectives that people, when they hear the things that you have to say, it creates the dialogue. And again, from the very beginning, when Brian and I had this conversation about him bringing the show to the network, I having known him before we started working on this project together, I knew he was going to bring the fire. So keep bringing the fire, Brian. We appreciate you.
Yeah, but you know what? In that fire that I bring, everybody gets some benefit from that warmth.
Absolutely. And that's been a big part of your mentality all the time that I've known you. So again, yeah, we love the good vibes and looking forward to what we're going to hear. You never know what you're going to hear from Brian Gardner on We Have the Power.
Can I say one more thing?
Yes.
I would love to be in this village. Let's use Africa, because that country has had a lot of ravages and wars and stuff, and starving and all kinds of problems. I would love to force one of the Rockefellers to come with me and sit down in one of those villages. And before he got there, I talked him into donating $14 trillion to improve the toilet systems, improve the water, make it livable, whatever. And I would get very emotional watching this little African-American kid walk up to Rockefeller and grab his hand and say, "Thank you, sir. I'm alive because of what you've done." Now, I know how evil some of these Rockefellers are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I have to believe, being a positive person, that his heart would change from this to this under that kid saying that to him.
Yeah,
I would love to be there.
In the humanity of your fellow inhabitants of this planet.
Yeah. I would love to be there and watch that change,
Yeah.
It gets me teary-eyed talking about it,
Yeah. Well, looking forward to more great broadcasts throughout 2026, Brian. Again, your show is one of the anchors of this network, and your messages are definitely resonating with a big audience.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
All right. Well, thanks again for stopping by, Brian.
PR Connections Radio thanks you for watching this podcast. Check out more episodes of this show and our others at prconnectionsradio.com.